Thank you, judge and jury, and hello, judge and jury, and Rez, if you're still in here. I was singing a beautiful song. I was saying, hello, is there anybody in there? Just nod if you can hear me. Thank you, judge and jury. I appreciate that. Is there anyone home? Well, I hope you all are doing well and that you had a great weekend. I had a nice and mellow weekend. Did anyone watch the Oscars? I watched part of the Oscars. I watched more the clips than the full show. Um, I usually try to watch the movies that are being nominated before watching the Oscars, and so because I'm lost on all the presentations, if not, and I was kind of lost on all. Hello, Jill. I was kind of lost on. Hello, True Crime Karens. I was kind of lost on all the nominations and stuff, but there were some really good performances, like Rihanna, and oh my God, Lady Gaga. She's my hero. She's my hero. Not only is she immensely talented, she seems to be a good humanitarian. Hello, Mona Lisa, and everybody else who's watching. So you may be wondering why I'm calling what this is a scam flu, a YouTube scam flu. And I just want to say at the outset here that on this channel, I will rarely call out specific people in situations, specific channels, specific people, unless, as you know, I have called out specific people, but that's when I believe that those specific people are particularly problematic and that they show a ongoing pattern of behavior that should be called attention to. And so in this case, I'm not going to be calling out any specific people or channels. I might be describing situations that you might recognize, but I encourage none of you to go over to take what I'm about to say and then use that as fodder to be nasty to anybody or do hate. I'm not about the hate. I'm not about inciting hate on people. I'm just about calling attention to behaviors that should be watched out for on YouTube and on social media. Because when you're equipped with the tools to watch out for behaviors, then it's more objective. It's not like, oh, if this person looked like this, then they're more likely to act like this. That's not the way it is. It's behaviors. You have to look at behaviors. Okay. So what I noticed recently is that in the, specifically, what I noticed recently is that a particular creator that people have always been jealous of and have always tended to bounce all of their content off of went live recently, and she had a great deal number of other people in her chat than she normally does, and she had a lot of her haters, people who have done hours and hours and hours of streams on her, just dragging her through the mud. They were all in her chat rallying with her about a scam that she was calling out. And it seemed to be a legitimate gripe. She was showing receipts and showing that and it's not for me to say whether this was legitimate or not. It seemed legitimate, right? But here's the other thing I noticed is that the people in her chat who once just railed on her, then all of a sudden they were going live about scams. They were going live to call out other people's scams. So that just pinpointed to me the fact that what people, I don't know if if really people think about this or not, but YouTube is not, it's not a club. It's not a place where we're all privately getting together to talk about stuff. It is a public content making platform where people make money making content. And so if they see that people are making content doing something, there's a likelihood that they're going to try to do the same thing, also making content. Whether, it's not for me to judge whether one scam or the other scam is more legitimate or not legitimate. What I do see is that there's constantly content being made, out of people being scammed. So what I wanted to do is kind of describe this phenomenon. And for those of you who don't want to get caught up in it, for those of you who don't want to be quote unquote scammed and then made into content, regarding it, these are just some logical steps that you can take to not get caught up in that. So I created a little, and you're all welcome to ask questions as we go along, but hello, April, welcome. Welcome to Scoop with Barb. Hello, Team Brittany. So I created a little presentation here, and I'm going to talk you through it, but, and let me grab it here. So the first thing I want to emphasize in this entire conversation, okay, is that YouTube is a content platform. All right. It's a place where people make, and I said this already, I know, but is a place where people can potentially make money making content. And that is really the way we're supposed to be making money. We're supposed to be earning. There's supposed to be an exchange of goods here, right? I make content. You click on my video. The advertisers buy content off of. Sorry, Sorry, I just have to tell my son that I'm. Dude. Sorry. I have one of those one of those kids that he's persistent. Once he wants to get a hold of you, he's persistent. And it's not an emergency. He just said, he's like, "Oh, you're live. Sorry. Oops." Anyway, so the like I said, there's the unspoken thing about YouTube is that there's an exchange of goods. Like when you click on my content, or if you tip me, or even if you contribute to some sort of fundraiser that I've made, it's because you're valuing my content. You're getting something out of me. I'm earning it from you, right? Or maybe you're a member of my channel. I should be creating content for you. Hello, Violet. Creating content for you that's valuable to you, such that you think it's worthy of being a member on my channel, things like that. Or, you're a member because you want to support my channel because you think that I bring valuable content to you. But what I see a lot of people doing is seeing YouTube as a way to collect money for their specific needs. And this is not just content creators. This is people who meet each other via YouTube. So these are, subscribers on, in communities who meet each other, and then they start having back channel conversations, and they start, they develop relationships, and there might be an emotional connection there. And then they start to, and then maybe one of them decides, oh, depending on what their moral makeup is like, what they might decide, well, look, I've developed this relationship with this person on YouTube. They don't know me very well, so I can maybe emotionally appeal to this person I've met on YouTube and ask them to meet my personal needs. And I see a lot of that happening on YouTube. And when other people on YouTube see it working for other people, and hey, let me just, say this up front too. Times are hard for everybody. There is it's a bad time for a lot of people. And people deal with bad times in different ways. They either decide, I'm going to go out and I'm going to try to earn the money somehow, or if they don't feel that they have the ability to earn the money somehow, they're going to try to get it in another way. And if they have the kind of morality, if they have the kind of moral and ethical makeup that says, I'm just going to get the money however I possibly can, YouTube is one of those ways to do it. And they're going to, sidestep whatever, unspoken rules there are to do whatever they can. And that's what happens. So all of this to say that if there is, somebody asking for money that has met you via YouTube, or is collecting money as a creator on YouTube, remember that it's a content platform. So it's almost inevitable. And I mean, you guys can tell me if you've seen wherever there's been a situation where you haven't seen some sort of emergency collection drive not become content on other people's channels. It becomes content. Regardless of whether you had the other person's best interests at heart, regardless of who was in the right or who was in the wrong. That all becomes murky because there's always like 50,000 different sides to the story, and it's hard to get to the truth of it, especially because it's all being, played out on YouTube. And there's like this extra layer of distance, that the internet creates this extra layer of distance, right? So that's why I want to provide this kind of just community service of how to, if you don't want to get caught up in that, if you don't want to become content because of your donation to what may have ended up being a scam or not, even if it isn't a scam, you might end up being content because, even if there's a legitimate drive for funds for some reason, and if a bunch of money is collected as a result of that drive, there's going to be an opposing group that is not happy about how much money was collected, and they're going to start questioning it. They're going to make that into content. They're going to go through. They're going to try to figure out who made the donations, who made the biggest donations, and they'll try to go after those same subscribers to try to get their donations for their channel or their group, or they'll drag those people through the mud who did give donations. And to me, it's a really ugly kind of not what's supposed to be happening on YouTube type of situation. So, therefore, let me get into what I see are the characteristics of these, YouTube scam flus, of these outbreaks. Okay, what usually happens is And again, you're all welcome to ask questions. Can't guarantee you'll get the answer you want, but you're welcome to ask questions as I go along. Here are the characteristics. Usually somebody expresses a personal emergency, and usually it's emergent. Like, I need the money. Hi, shift. I need this money immediately. It is like something dire is going to happen if I don't get this money. I'm going to die. My pet's going to die. I'm going to lose all my teeth. I have, my car. I need a car to get around, and, blah, 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 blah. So, and then there's an emotional appeal. Like, somebody gets, and this is, again, this could be happening behind the scenes in the back channels, or it could be, Snow Remover says, any type of questions that are not allowed. I'm just saying you can ask whatever questions you want. I'm not guaranteeing that I'll answer it the way you want to, Snow Remover. Lynn, I gave money to one person in December for a medical need. I received a text back saying they got what they needed. I don't have regrets, but I wonder if there was a need. Okay, well, just continue watching the stream. So then there's like an emotional appeal. I mean, and I want to say that in this emotional appeal section, that a lot of us think that we are impervious to an emotional manipulation, but we aren't. Not any human being in the world who has empathy is immune to manipulation. We can all be manipulated. Now, let me give you an example. Elon Musk dated Amber Heard. He was heartbroken by Amber Heard. Okay. Also, have you noticed how many incredibly smart ex-Scientologists there are? Okay, Snow Remover, that's not a question. So I'm hoping that your questions have to do with this topic, and aren't here, you're welcome to feel however you want to feel about me, but I'm trying to do a service to the community. So this isn't about me. It's about something I'm describing in the community. Okay. So if you're here to just kind of accuse me of a bunch of things, I mean, I don't know what kind of good that does to what good that does to this conversation. And I'm not going to entertain just you accusing me of things that that have nothing to do with this conversation. Anyway, so there's an emotional appeal, and the person might cry. And again, could be in the back channels. It could be in the front channels. And then that's great, Snow Remover. So just, keep listening, and maybe you'll get something out of this, and maybe you'll get the answer to whatever questions you have. So, and who isn't going to have their heartstrings tugged by somebody who's crying and saying that they're about to lose their whatever, right? So sometimes what that results in is a community collection, right? Either, again, in the back channels, or they come out onto YouTube and say, hey, there's a need. This person has a need. Let's take up a collection, right? And then eventually there might be an appearance of impropriety. Somebody starts questioning, hey, I gave money, but I didn't get a receipt, or I gave money and I didn't see that money went where they said it was going to go, and blah, 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 blah. Like, there's the appearance of impropriety. And I have to say that on YouTube, anything can be made to look like an appearance of impropriety, because again, there's a incentive to make it into content. There's an incentive to make it into content, right? So when there's that appearance of impropriety, and it doesn't take a lot, it does not take a lot, there's a community meeting. You know, people call a community meeting, and then there's more content. And then um and then there's a whole other wave of questions being asked, and there are relationships that break up, and people are dragged through the mud, and people are forced to explain themselves whether their heart was in the right place or not, and people are put on the hot seat, right? So that's like what happens. And the reason I'm calling it a scam flu is because it catches quickly, you know. And also, none of us are, unless we get this like immunization from knowing how this looks. Yes, like the Summer Wells billboards, right? I mean, I don't know exactly how that worked, but anyway, so I don't want to comment specifically, but I know that there was, again, a lot of question about the collection that was taken up for the billboards. And then, you know, people are still talking about that was a scam. And I didn't follow it closely enough to know whether that's true or not. So let's get into prevention. Okay. Let's get into prevention. So let's say, you know, you are part of a community, and this community comes forward and says, there is an immediate need. There is this immediate need, and you're feeling pulled. You're something in your heart is saying, gosh, I want to give money, and I do have some money that I could give, and they have more of a need than I do. You know, maybe I should get, before you donate. And I'm also going to say that everything I'm saying here applies to even in real life. The main difference here is that everything that happens when it comes to people who have met each other on YouTube ends up being content. That's the difference here. So ask yourself, am I okay with being content later? Am I okay with never getting the money back? And I can tell you, like I said, this happens in real life. I've donated, given, let people borrow so much money that I knew when I gave it to them, it was unlikely that I would never get it back. And I didn't. I didn't. And I'm not sitting here holding grudges against them, right? And then you have to ask yourself, and I didn't go out, I didn't go around and say, oh, you know, to all my friends and say, this person didn't give me money back, let's drag them through the mud and make them look bad. The next thing you should ask yourself is, how many times have they done this before? Have they gone to the Hello Dippity Doo? Have they gone to the community before and done this kind of emergency collection? Is this a habit for them? And also, why, if they are a YouTuber, if they have a channel and it's a monetized channel, why aren't they earning this money making content? Why is there not an exchange of goods happening? Why is this person expecting other people to pay their bills rather than just providing a service that then people pay for such that they can pay their bills, right? So Jill asks, what did you notice about the C virus and how it affected creators as opposed to subs in regards to this scamming issue? I think I might be I think I'm maybe answering the question as I go along. So if you still have that question later, let me know, and I'll get back to you. So if you've asked yourself all those questions and you've decided to still donate, here are some suggestions. Okay, some suggestions. Donate with an app that allows refunds and disputes. Oh, I see a typo. Refunds. Be sure to use an app that allows refunds. Dork. I'm a dork sometimes. Excuse me. And then document the reason for the donation so that, for sure. So if it's for, an emergency dental fund, it's an emergency electric fund, it's an emergency whatever, when you make the donation, say that's what it's for so that it's easy to identify later for the refund or the dispute if you need to. And then you must expect it to become content later, either on the person's channel that you donated to, or some opposing, person's some channel that has an opposition to that whole collection exercise and wants to drag people through the mud. I don't think YouTube makes it worse. I just think it's the way people use PayPal and Cash App. That's my opinion on that. It's the way people use PayPal and Cash App. I don't blame creators for using PayPal and Cash App as opposed to just the regular YouTube, tipping system, because I mean, let's face it, YouTube like what is it? It's something like 40%, 35 to 40% that they take out. And that's a lot. That's a lot. So if people are willing to tip using PayPal or Cash App, I really don't have a problem with that. I really don't. It's really just what the creator is doing with it, or what the person who's, putting the Cash App out there is doing with it. Hello, Mo. And also, if you still decide to donate, do not ever expect the money back. Even if they've told you you're going to get the money back, don't expect the money back. I have people who I loan money to who said, I promise, I'm going to pay you back next month. Never got the money back. Never got the money back. If someone is so desperate for money that they are asking other people for the money, it's unlikely that they're not going to be that desperate a month from now when they say that they're going to be able to pay you the money back. Unless it's like some, what's the word I'm looking for? Sometimes I have a hard time finding words in my brain when I'm trying to find them, but unforeseen circumstance or whatever circumstance. Also, don't put yourself in a bad financial situation. Don't put yourself in such a bad financial situation that then now you feel tempted to ask other people for money to get compensated for whatever scam flu might be going around. And also, don't use your own name in the or the name that you're known by on YouTube, or your government name, because again, it's gonna be content. It's gonna be content. So if you don't want your YouTube name to be associated with something that turned into a scam and turned into content, don't use your real name. So now let's say you did donate, and then you're starting to hear rumors and speculation that it's a scam, or you just start thinking to yourself, I think I might have gotten taken. I think maybe I gotten taken, and I wonder how I can know. So ask yourself, can you say yes to 2 or more of the following questions? Okay. Have they done this before? When you ask for receipts, do you get a bunch of excuses? You should be able to ask for a receipt or a specific explanation without a runaround, without without them saying, oh, I needed to transfer this to this, I blah, 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 blah. If you keep getting the runaround, red flag, red flag, red flag. Have they disappeared? Have they all of a sudden been they were completely, when they needed the money, they were like, boom, 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 boom. And then all of a sudden, boop, bye, see ya. I don't have those answers for you right now. I can't, I dropped my phone. I can't get in access to my Facebook. I don't, my daughter stole my phone, things like that. And then are others complaining too? I mean, that's also another sign that other people are starting to say, hey, what's going on? So that's detection. So if you've answered 2 or more of those questions by saying, yep, it's pretty likely. It's pretty likely that that's happened. The first thing to do is act quickly. And the reason for that is if you want that money back, maybe you don't want it. Maybe you're like, oh, well, lesson learned. I guess I'm not going to donate money to that person again, or I'm not going to give, I'm not going to participate in this thing again. Fine. But if you want, if you want your money back, you need to act quickly and request a refund from the app you used, dispute the charge via your bank. But whether or not you decide you want your money back, I would report that account for scamming. Just go to the YouTube page of that account, go to the about, hello green eyes, hello dippity doo, go to the specific, to the about page. Shift happens. I just demand a refund. If you guys see any more typos that I miss, let me know. It's so funny. So even if you decide you don't want the money back, they should be reported. Go to the about page. There's a little flag, and you can report that account, and then block that person. I mean, there's really no reason to have any more communication with that person on any communication platform, text, whatever. They don't have your best interests at heart. If they've just demanded money with an emotional appeal, and then they've disappeared, and you believe they've grifted, they don't have your best interest at heart. Block them. They don't deserve you. They don't deserve you. Okay. And then this is where the healing comes in. Give yourself a break. If this happened to you, don't go around being like, oh man, I was so stupid. Why was I so stupid? I can't believe I was taken. And then also, by the same token, don't go around telling other people that they were so stupid for giving into the emotional appeal, for giving money. You're not stupid. You were lied to. Are we supposed to all be mind readers? Are we supposed to all know when our emotions are being tugged on, when somebody has developed an incredible manipulation skill such that they know how to appeal to something that is going to tug on our heartstrings? When a scammer sits around and sees that an entire community is likely to give a lot of money when people think that they're in need, they're the liar, and they're going to come in and they're going to tug on our the goodness of our hearts. That if you're not stupid for being a good-hearted person, you just haven't been immunized by understanding that these people exist, and that it's also going to become content, unfortunately, because the incentive here on YouTube is to make it into content. And also, I always recommend this anyway, regardless of whether someone's been scammed or not, regardless of what's happening. I always recommend taking a break. When you're in the middle of feeling like shit because you've gotten scammed, or you think you might have gotten scammed, when we're in our feels, we aren't quite as equipped to be rational. and to think through things clearly. And, it's very tempting and compelling to want to go on a bunch of panels and vent and like talk it through and try to figure it out. But what you may not realize is that's just perpetuating the situation. And it might be muddying the situation, and it might be blaming the wrong people for the wrong stuff. And you don't know, when people are like trying to work everything out via panels and like doing math on panels and stuff, and not always being super objective about it. I don't know. And I would take a break. I would take a break, at least a week or something like that. Gather your thoughts and vent with people who are not connected to the situation and not connected with YouTube. Because I just guarantee you, any conversation, you just have to assume that any conversation you have with people you meet on YouTube may eventually become content at some point. And I don't know about you, but I don't want my situation where I've given in to somebody's emotional appeal to become other people's content, unless it benefits me somehow. And it really doesn't even benefit me to drag other people through the mud about a scam, right? So unless what does benefit me in my heart is for people to understand this and to provide a community service regarding it, and to help people recognize all these symptoms and stuff, and be able to diagnose it for themselves and take their own action. So that's mainly what I wanted to go through. But I'm going to look at chat now, because I was paying attention to chat, but not as closely as I might, because I wanted to get through all of that. Judge and jury, did I answer your question about, do you think YouTube makes things worse by allowing? Oh, no, I did answer that. I'm sorry. Even offline, you won't find people able to pay back money because they are running into constant. Exactly. I mean, like I said, practically everything I said applies to offline, money borrowing as well, or scams from offline, people in your life as well. But the difference on YouTube is that there is a tendency to make it into content because it's drama, and it's also it could be an excuse to drag somebody through the mud that you have that somebody might have a grudge against, and like, oh, there's an opportunity to drag that person through the mud, whether it's deserved or not, whether that person really meant to be part of a scam or not. I know a lot are bad, but I do know one around our streets that's really good and legit, and that's what. Okay. I'm not sure. If they do use their phones to ask you, they shouldn't care to use their. Yeah, exactly. As far as I'm concerned, YouTube is a place where content is bought and sold. E-beggars better go find a job before asking for donations. Yeah, that's basically what I said at the beginning. I mean, on YouTube, we're supposed to be providing content to people. There's supposed to be an exchange of goods. You're supposed to be getting something out of the creator. We're supposed to be creating something, not asking you for something. Coming on here and asking for money is not being a creator. So you have to ask yourself, why is that person just coming in asking for money rather than just being, creating content? And it can, I want to just state very strongly, this, what I'm saying doesn't apply across the board to anybody, any creator, anybody that comes online and says, oh, I have a need and I'm asking for money. I'm saying if you recognize these kind of these habitual traits and this whole system of things going on. Yeah, that's right. I've been happy. Dippity Doo says also there are plenty of creators calling out scammers that are. That's true. That's what happens. Is that's what I mean by this. Is that and that's what happened. You know, somebody comes on and says somebody's been scamming the community, and other people see that that got big numbers, and then all of a sudden they're like, "Hey, look, we're being scammed too." And you know, like it's like a contagion. And then that even gets and turns into another mini scam where somebody else gets dragged through the mud for maybe doing a mini scam. So this scamming becomes you know, and everything is muddied, and sometimes this it's a very pernicious thing that people who are willing to scam people who are willing to manipulate people are always going to project their behaviors onto other people and accuse other people of doing what they do. So you have to be able to recognize that. You have to be able to say, well, that person's sitting there accusing all these other people of doing things, but are they doing it themselves? Is that something they do on a regular basis as well? And not necessarily call it out, because it's not going to, depending on who it is, they're not going to recognize it. They're not going to be like, you're right. I'm a hypocrite. You're just going to have to say, well, that changes my attitude and behavior toward them, and I'm probably not going to give them money. Right? When did content become send me cash or else? Yeah. Can I ask for opinions? If a person is caught up allegedly scamming, do you think they deserve to be called out, shamed, drugged through the mud, doxxed, etc.? I don't think any of it should be content. I don't think asking for this is my personal opinion, okay? This is not like I'm not standing on a moral like soapbox when I say this right now. I don't think coming on YouTube asking for money should be content. I don't think calling them out I don't think then going on and calling them out as scammers should be content. I think, you know, just the whole thing is gross. That's why it's a scam flu, right? Because who knows who's right in all that whole business. I think that YouTube is a content creation platform, and we should be creating content that people value, and therefore give us tips or money or memberships or just clicks is enough. Clicking on our content gives us advertising revenue. You know, so if we're making valuable enough content for you to click on it and give us advertising revenue, then we shouldn't have to be coming on our platform and saying, give me money, give me money, give me money. Now, again, there are all kinds of exceptions to that I can't speak to, but that's just my general feeling. I think if there is obviously a repeated habit of it, you know, like for instance, I've been very vocal about what I believe is a nonprofit scam. Okay. When someone comes on and says that and uses some show of authority, kind of says that they have the authority to collect money on a tax deductible basis, but they don't show any receipts for that. They don't answer to it. There's all kinds of shadiness and questions about it. I think when someone is a public figure and they have been given the right to collect money from people on a tax deductible basis, they owe an explanation, you know, and if it and it's being carried out over a long period of time. I've been very vocal about somebody who's been doing that, right? Um, so I just there's not like a one size fits all answer to any of this. That's why I'm trying to describe the behavior. And in this particular instance, what's happening is people meeting on YouTube and then asking, going around to different people and asking people for money, and then it comes out that they've been, they've collected up to $20,000-$30,000 from a bunch of different people, and it all becomes a content fodder. So and that it just so this is just how to recognize when that's potentially going to happen. You meet somebody on YouTube and they start begging you for money in the background, and then you find out that other people are being begged for money too, and it becomes it's an issue. This is how to protect yourself. Do you guys think I answered your questions? Did that help at all? That information? I hope it did. I mean, I don't have all the answers. This is just based on all of my, I have a lot of experience in looking at. You have a question shift? You want a refund? uh, Unfortunately, I can't give a refund because we've never exchanged money. Now you go ahead and show the receipts that I haven't. I'm just kidding. It's just not, just I think if I were to leave you just with one thought, just remember that this is a content platform. Okay. We creators are supposed to be giving you content, entertainment. We're supposed to be providing some sort of service to you. So if you you want a court finding refund, I'm sorry. That made me laugh. You made me lose my place shift. What was I about to say? That was so like what I was about to say was earth changing. It was like I was going to change the entire chemical geographical makeup of the earth by what I was about to say, and then shift happened. There is something I have learned about being on YouTube, and it is that most relationships that are gained on YouTube are transactional, even when you don't think they are. And you can see that in play by just watching channels and their constant shifting of allegiances and loyalties, and one day they're praising somebody and the next day they're dragging somebody through the mud. There's this it's you can see that. So just remember the whole content piece of this. So any other questions that aren't going to be cause my earth shattering revelations to be interrupted? I'm just kidding. I do have please remember to hit the thumbs up, by the way, and subscribe if you have. Well, you have to subscribe to comment, but you don't have to subscribe to watch. So if you're watching and you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing. Also, I have just come up with a plan, a a content calendar for my members that I'm kind of excited about, because when I was kind of asking my members in a members only, like, there are so many directions I can go in. I have so many interests. There's so many things I could talk about. I could tell stories from my professional life. I could tell stories from my crazy personal life. I could talk about true crime. I could talk about social media. I could wrap all of it into one. And my members were saying, we really want to hear stories from your professional life. So I've created a list of, I started writing a list, and I was like, oh my God, there's so many stories. I could do a story a week for members only. So I'm starting to do that. I'm going to be, thank you, 71. So I'm going to start doing a story a week for members. And let me just give you a little taste of the titles of these stories. Okay. I had a lot of fun thinking about them. So there was the time that the Wall Street Journal wrote about an Iron Chef competition that I competed in with with some friends for New Year's Eve. There's the time that the Wall Street Journal wrote about the belly casting that me and my friends did. There's a time that a reporter accidentally threw away the MacBook Air that I was responsible for giving him for an Apple review. There's a time that Steve Jobs delayed a photo shoot for a haircut by a week. There's what it was like to be in the room and part of the whole iPhone launch. There's all the times that I stayed in hotels before Steve Jobs to test them for him, and all the craziness around that. There's the time that I had the entire, I had the Google Gulf Stream all to myself from New York City to San Jose. Yeah. I mean, it goes on and on and on and on. So I do truly want to provide. Yeah. And I didn't even include, and I've told this story on other channels before and things like that. There's the time I was arrested for murder. I didn't do it. I was a teenager. There's a whole story around it. So, I do truly feel that for me to earn money on YouTube, I need to provide you with content. Okay. That's what I believe. And it's not, up to me. There's a time I blamed Shift for derailing. Yep. There is that time. I could just play the clip. The time I blame Shift for shifting my shift. Anyway, I hope you got something out of this. Feel free to share this with anybody you take screenshots of my slides, and just give me credit, please. I just ask that you give me credit and not like take it as your own. This is content. This is, I created this content. These are from me, my thoughts. So my murder arrest story is chef's kiss. Let's see what Jill says here. If you want, I want to add, Not Cool Creator says that because they don't have this, here's the consequence. Like, without these funds, I can't make art. That's an interesting point. Yeah. I mean, we shouldn't be made to feel guilty that the creator isn't able to pay their bills. That's not our responsibility. I don't believe it's your responsibility to and when somebody is able to go on and collect a lot of money by saying they have this emergency, and then and it works for them, they create this expectation that that's all that they ever have to do. And there's this enabling factor. Oh, all I got to do is come on here and say, I need money for this. I need money for that. You should give it to me so that I can do this, or I'm not going to be able to do it for you. No. I should be providing you with a service that you value and you want, or, even if it's merchandise, it's my job to put together, to purchase the supplies and make it possible for me to create the things that you want. Like if I'm saying to you, you need to give me money so that I can have the supplies to make the things that people will later purchase, that's like double dipping, right? Like you have to provide me with the supplies that then later I'm going to ask you to buy. Things that I'm going to ask you to buy. Yes, there's some art involved in that, but the art is also in the purchase. And any business owner has to assume that there's an investment. They have to make an investment in that business before they can expect to get any revenue back. And the investment just can't be, you have to buy me the supplies. Anyway, so I really appreciate you all being here and listening. I really am interested in hearing what you think in the comments below on, for the replay crew. And I appreciate people who said that they like my true crime, because I do intend to continue covering certain true crime cases. For instance, in a couple weeks, the Lori Vallow trial is starting, and I've been following that case since the beginning. And I'm thinking about how I want to prepare my audience for my coverage of that, because I do intend to cover that trial, even though it's not going to be live streamed at all, but there's going to be daily updates from the court. So I'm trying to figure out how I want to present that and how to get people updated on the case, get my subscribers updated on the case so they know what the importance of the trial and the importance of what's going on in the trial. So, all right, everybody. Thank you very much. Good to see you a little bit. Good to see everybody else here. And have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day, morning, afternoon, whatever it is. And hit that like button, please. Peace out.